My name is Dylan Johnson. I'm a gravel and mountain bike racer, mostly endurance stuff. I've been riding since I was 12. I'm 27 now, so 15 years. First time in Leadville, first time doing this race. I have a lot of 100-mile mountain bike race experience. I think the potential wrench in the spokes with Leadville is that it's at super high altitude, an altitude that I've never raced at before. This is the 4th stop of the Lifetime Grand Prix Series, so 60 of the best off-road racers in North America and even outside of North America are here racing it. Currently, I'm sitting 15th. I think top 10 is in the money, so I'd like to see if I can improve on that result, maybe sneak into the top 10 by the end of the year. Everybody's saying, oh, Leadville's a hardtail course, Leadville's a hardtail course, so I am on the Factor Lando hardtail. Super lightweight bike, super stiff, so I think it's gonna handle really well out there. For suspension, we got a Fox 32 up front. We've got the Fox Transfer SL dropper post. I've got a SRAM XX1 Eagle drivetrain doing the 10 to 52 cassette for a little bit wider range. For chain, I'm gonna run a Ceramic Speed UFO chain, and I've also got Ceramic Speed oversized pulley wheels, just trying to save some watts out there. I ran a pretty unconventional strategy at Unbound where I kind of ignored what the front group was doing and I rode at my own pace because inevitably in these races, people go too hard in the beginning and then they blow up. And I was trying not to do that, and it worked all right. I got in just under 10 hours, which is a very fast time I was very happy with, finished 25th place. I'm thinking about doing a little bit of a hybrid of that tomorrow where I'm gonna be looking at my power and my heart rate. If the front group is going at a pace that I know is unsustainable on that first climb, I'll let myself get dropped. I don't mind doing that. But, you know, if I feel like I've got the legs to stay with them, I'll do that too.
My name is Rob Ridden. I grew up in Regina, Saskatchewan, and now I call Victoria, British Columbia my home. Former professional road cyclist and now professional adventure seeker by bike. I didn't know much about it, but being here, you have a better idea of how big this race is and how important it is to the cycling community and the community at large in Leadville. Yeah, the course, I don't know that much about it. Kind of taking this one by the seat of my pants a little bit, but yeah, it just looks heinous. Like the climb, everybody talks about Columbine, looks brutal, power line. Everything about it is made to hurt. The course at sea level would be a hard course, and at 10 to 12,500 feet is just like, man, that's gonna be uncomfortable. So this is my Lando hardtail, which has a 32 step cast 100 mil Fox fork. I'm running a Shimano drivetrain essentially with XTR brakes. For tires, I went with the Schwalbe Thunderbolts 2.25. It's finished with ceramic speed both in the headset and the bottom bracket, which I have paired with the ceramic speed oversized pulley wheels and speed chain. I mean, altitude, a lot of people think of it as like a linear lack of performance or lack of basically blood oxygen, and it's more exponential. So I just refer to it as exponential discomfort. The difference between 8 and 10,000 feet is a significantly bigger difference than sea level to 6,000 feet. I've had success at altitude before. I know how to listen to my body, which is like a big thing, being up this high and not pushing past that limit, because if you do, you can just pay the price for the rest of the day. This is stop number 4 on the Grand Prix. Right now I'm sitting tied for 5th with Pete Stetina. I think you're gonna see pretty big changes like after this race and throughout the remainder of the series. Yeah, we'll see where the dust settles, but I mean, for the inaugural one, it's been really cool. Like obviously this is a huge departure from my former day job, and yeah, it's just been fun and enjoyable.
I'm Adam Roberge. I live in Prévost, that's close to Montreal, a little bit up north in Quebec, Canada. Reconnecting with gravel last year was already a big thing for me to increase motivation because it opens up so much more. But now this year also reconnecting with mountain biking. Now I can do mountain bike, road and gravel, and it's really hard to get bored. I think it will be still a little bit important to try to stay in a group because yes, it's very, very hilly, but there's some rolling section that if you're in a good group, it can help. Yeah, altitude is tricky like that. You never know, you think you feel good and after that you don't feel good at all. So yeah, just try to be smart. Try to be careful, but not too much because I still want to do good. So the first thing you're gonna see is that I went for the double suspension. For me, it was very important because I feel like coming mainly from road for the last 5 to 6 years, I'm really strong physically, but I've always been lacking a little bit in the technical section, so that double suspension gives me a little extra confidence. I have the black ink wheel. Again, also black ink, all integrated cockpit here, so it's the perfect length for me. It makes everything looks very good. I run the Pirelli Scorpion XC for the tires. Those tires are like super, super fast. There's not that much tread on the top, but you still have those bigger tread just on the side. In the tire, I have the Milkit tire sealant to avoid flatting. And on the chain, I have the Silca Super Secret chain loop, so I don't lose any watts.
I'm Alexei Vermeulen. Grew up in Michigan, raced road bikes for as long as I can remember, probably until 3 years ago, and moved back from Europe and have enjoyed racing on the dirt ever since. I, as an athlete, loved racing at the World Tour level. There's nothing higher as a cyclist, right? I grew up watching those guys race, the history of the sport, and I got to race beside idols. But I felt like I also missed this big portion of it that was being involved in the community. It's a little sadistic, 10,200 feet in the air. It's kind of, I don't know why they do it, but you hear Ken talk, you kind of get motivated and inspired. I think we're here because this race challenges people to be more than themselves. The cool part about Leadville is people come back because they want to come back. If you fail, you don't feel like a failure. You feel like, okay, I got to train harder and come back and get that belt buckle. This race, at some point, every single person from the winner of the pro race to the last person on the line at 11 hours, 59 minutes will struggle. And it's just about what portion of the course is going to give you trouble on that day. And I think that's special. First off, I just want to race my bike hard. I love when you just have one of those days where you can just throw it and leave it all out there. But the reality is you got to climb tomorrow. If you don't climb, you're not going to be up there. I think you'll know by the first climb internally if it's going to go well, and by the second climb it'll be external. I usually climb pretty well, so the goal is to kind of save as many matches as I can up until Columbine. Last year, that was kind of what I took away, was that Columbine was where the real fight started. We had only maybe 10 guys left at that point, but you know, I'm not going to go into tomorrow wanting top 10. The goal is to be on the podium at least. Sitting third in the Lifetime Grand Prix right now, 1 point out of second, but I think the interesting part is there's kind of a dogfight for second. Maybe there's only really 2 guys sitting there right now, but when everyone drops a race, they'll be pretty close. And it's a lot of guys who are heating up, especially if Leadville goes their way. This is my Factor Lando. Just over 20.5 pounds with a dropper, which was a kind of a call yesterday. Rode a bit of the course and kind of just decided that with my skills downhill, I'd like a little bit of drop. We have a built up full Shimano and Fox for the most part, running a 51-10 in the back and a 36 in the front. Tires are a big choice at Leadville. Weight's important, but also figuring out how to optimize where you can lose or win the race. I'm running a race sidewall 2.4 with, it'll probably start with 18 in the front, and running a 2.2 with sidewall protection in the back. was hard. My second year doing it, kind of feel like I learned a lot first year and wanted to make the race, take it into my hands whenever I could. Not that I was the strongest out there by any means, but there's a lot of chances to get caught behind or just have something happen. Hurt a little bit to be able to see third, but going into the race, the goal was top 5 for me, so I was really stoked on it, honestly. Like, I was proud of the way I raced and executed a lot of things well. But yeah, it always hurts when you can see it down the boulevard coming up and you're like, that's not that far ahead. This was the first marathon race on my Factor Lando, and I was pleasantly surprised. No mechanicals at all. She handled one of the toughest races in the world with ease.
Oh no, this is good. He's gonna sit here and be uncomfortable for a while. I was fairly confident Lachlan would punch it on the first climb as soon as we started to head out of town. And he did. And that split the group to 20. 5 or 6 guys came back, so maybe 25 guys in the first 15, 20K. And that was pretty much the rest of the race. 5-mile descent. Yeah, that was pretty gnarly. I heard about it, and yeah, I lost the front group there on descent, which is kind of a bummer. Yeah, that was kind of it for me for seeing those guys settled into a group with Dylan Johnson and Total Energies guy. Yeah, then when we got to Columbine, it was just pretty much find that gear you can ride and just sort of do what you can the whole way. So, yeah, top 10, first Leadville, I'll take it.
I kind of had this idea at the start that because it's a slight downhill, maybe if I just rolled off the front, they might let me go and I could start the climb with a 30-second gap. They totally didn't let that happen. So I started the climb in the group, and just like I said yesterday, I was totally willing to let myself get dropped on that first climb because I know how excited people get in these races and they just go ballistic. Coming down power line, which is the second descent, I caught some fast roadies who didn't quite have the technical skills. I caught Nicky Terpstra, I caught Rob Britton. They're both big guys with big motors, and we were hauling on the road section right after that. We went up power line, and I think that's when I really started hurting. I didn't completely blow up. I kept the wheels rolling decently all the way to the finish, but I was in a deep pain cave from basically power line to the finish. And I managed to come in at 6:45, so solidly under 7 hours, which I'm happy with. Just barely top 20. Absolutely no mechanicals whatsoever. Bike is nice and light. There's a ton of climbing out here, so I think if I did the race again, I'd probably choose the Lando hardtail again.